Hello, everyone. This is Ron Gerber of AngelBeat. I'm so excited to have this informal but very meaningful fireside chat with Steve Woodard. Steve was always one of the most highly rated speakers formerly with AWS. He's one of their top technology evangelists. He knows AWS backwards and forwards. So on one hand, it was a little surprising to me when I was talking with Steve, lining up speakers, he says, oh, by the way, I've joined Capgemini. And on one hand, it was surprising because he's so well regarded within AWS and by AWS customers. But then I started reflecting on what end users tell me is that it's great to have experts who understand what AWS does, or for that matter, any of the other major cloud providers, GCP or Azure. But what's my biggest issue is how do I get that configured correctly in my environment to meet my customer requirements, my security issues, my international footprint. And so when I thought about so many end users thinking about that, I said it made perfect sense for someone like Capgemini, who's got such a global presence, to hire a trusted technology leader like Steve. Maybe, Steve, you could talk a little more about some of your thinking on why you moved over to Capgemini.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the thinkings that, of course, that lured me over to Capgemini, the interest there was, AWS and Capgemini has had a great partnership since 2008. Capgemini is one of the top 3 nonlinear growth strategic partners with AWS. So there's a lot of basically hand-in-hand partnership that we would work on together. And when I was with AWS is that, I worked closely with a lot of Capgemini-led engagements, both from the pre-sale side as well as kind of also on a little bit on the consulting side with Capgemini as well. And it always impressed me about their breadth and depth of how they're into 12 different types of industries, and the deep penetration they have and the deep expertise that they have across the business and technology sectors.
Hey, Steve, just to give a little quick background, where's Capgemini based? How many employees does it have? I know it's like this huge global behemoth.
Yeah, they're a 45-year-old company. They're based out of Paris, France. I don't know the exact number of employees that we currently have, but we are into the tens of thousands. I think it's roughly about 200,000 employees, if I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But we are definitely growing, and we see that growth happening year over year. As a matter of fact, one of our initiatives for these next upcoming years is really starting to look at acquiring new talent. And that's what we call developing that next generation of talent. And we have a structured program. We've got engineering programs. We've got academy programs that really kind of help enable that workforce and that workplace to really accelerate that innovation ability over the next couple of years. So that's really impressive.
Got it. Now, what are some of your new specific responsibilities within Capgemini?
Yeah, so basically, it's very similar to what I had at AWS. It's being a strategic advisor to the customer. So in my capacity, I get a chance to work across the C-suite and the executives at all different type of industries. And really, if you kind of take a step back from it, really is that really 50% of the technology purchasing budget's really going to be controlled by the line of business and those C-level executives. So it really gives me a chance to kind of work or basically have a seat at the table to really help drive those conversations about where they want to see their cloud journey, where they see where they can pivot for the next pace of innovation. There's a whole landscape out there that the customers are trying to navigate. And sometimes that's very complicated because sometimes there's too many options. It's very overwhelming. Yep. So the strategic partnership we have with our customers is we work to kind of really work to see exactly what it is, the problem that they're trying to solve. And then we work backwards from there, very similar to how we did at AWS. And the great thing about Capgemini is that we now have subject matter experts across the globe, across varying industry verticals, and across numerous technology landscapes. So this really gives the customer a full package deal where they can draw across the experience from any technology, from any cloud provider. So now when we go into a customer engagement, I'm not just talking AWS. Yes, primarily AWS is my strength and background, but if you're talking to customers about a hybrid cloud, a multi-cloud strategy, and of course they've got vendor relationships with all these different vendors, we can draw the strength and partnership from those different vendors, and we can draw all of that in-house to be able to drive that for that customer.
Because I hear that a lot. People might have grown up with AWS. Okay, I used S3. I moved all my storage in there, and then I'm starting to do so much more. But at the same time, I'm using Google maybe for more sales analytics, website analytics. I've got a big relationship with Microsoft, maybe use Dynamics. Most people still use Office or Microsoft 365. So you've got various cloud operations, even though one might be dominant. Then you've got things like containers and Kubernetes, which enable organizations to more easily migrate across clouds. So I got to believe it's a big deal because your customers, when they come to you, probably your former AWS are probably saying, wow, it's great you're part of Capgemini because now I can go to one place. I can understand from one source the trade-offs between all these cloud providers and figure out the right solution for my needs.
Yeah, exactly. It's really kind of taking a problem and looking at it very not just unidimensional, but very multidimensional now as well too. Is that we understand customers have very complicated environments. We understand that enterprise management, where you start talking about the complexities that most large-scale organizations struggle with, bringing in Capgemini to have those expertise in all of those different areas is really kind of a win-win situation.
One of the things you mentioned, Capgemini being based in Europe, one of the things I'm hearing a lot, and this is even from smaller organizations, not your Fortune 100s, is previously there were concerns about data locality, EU GDPR, and those issues have only skyrocketed with new data privacy guidelines. Europe, to some degree, is the leader here, but now you've got the UK split off from the EU, so they have different standards. You've got different standards even across the 50 United States. New York has different requirements than California. If you've got any contacts in China, that's a whole nother can of worms. So is that a big plus also being part of Capgemini, is the global landscape? And even if you're a small company, you may have like little Angel Beat. We use Upwork. We've got a lot of freelancers working in Asia helping with our database. You may have customers in Europe that also involve and require an understanding of the global landscape. I got to believe that's a big deal with Capgemini having that global footprint.
Yeah, it really is. And again, this kind of goes back to the strength and the breadth and strength of Capgemini is, having experts in those European countries who are not just technology experts, but they're also business experts as well too. They understand the business, they understand the political landscape, they understand kind of how it's going to transform and how it's going to shape the business as you start to see these political things happening around the world. The great thing about working with a global consulting company like Capgemini is the ability to say, listen, now we've got choices. Now we can start to bring in different experts to start helping us understand how this may transform our business, what this impact may look like. I think if you look at the Ukraine situation, kind of what was happening back a couple of months ago, is Capgemini was one of the first companies that started to relocate certain employees out of the Ukraine right around November of last year. So they were able to relocate over 200 employees into different parts of Europe, even long before the conflict really started to escalate. So they really saw this kind of coming. So that really tells you that number one is that, they're very employee first, and we're also very customer centric as well too, is how can we get those people into a position where they can continue to keep that relationship with those customers, and still make sure it's people centric focused.
So I think, for anyone watching this, they're probably thinking, okay, Steve's a really solid person. I've seen a lot of his YouTube videos. We've heard him present before. We're familiar with Capgemini. What are some of the things an organization can do going forward? I'm assuming like you can sit down with them, you could evaluate their current solutions, you could provide a fresh set of eyes and ears to offer some solutions. Are those some of the things that people can contact Angel Beat or yourself as follow-up call to actions?
Yeah, absolutely. We're open to discussing, any type of customer migration, transformation. We're really focused on the customer, whether you're small, medium, large, whether you're in one industry vertical or the next. We definitely want to make sure that, our position going forward is that we're really moving away from more of the technology centric jargon and really moving towards more of an industry specific outcome or a specific expertise, where we talk about things like intelligent everything and accelerated processes, people-centric solutions such as job satisfaction, attracting top job talent, and then really how does that ultimately drive business outcome, whether it's operational agility, sustainability, or immersive experiences. So we're really trying to move away from some of those technology jargons that are very difficult for customers to understand, and really kind of have more of that business acumen type of business speak.
Got it. So I would encourage everyone to follow up with Steve. You can connect with him on LinkedIn. You can go to capgemini.com or just go #AngelPete and we'll put you in touch with Steve and his colleagues. The thing I always like to emphasize, the technology landscape is changing so rapidly. It's always a good idea just to validate your decisions. It's so hard, even if you're satisfied with your current service provider. Everyone struggles to hire people. They don't have the advantages, the global resources of 200,000 people where they can easily ramp up to handle your customer requirements. So, I'm sure Capgemini coexists with many other service providers. I encourage everyone, as you're struggling with ramping up, as it's always difficult to hire people, what we found a lot is that organizations and the current management say, wow, it's really like we're competing with Silicon Valley, we're competing with AWS, we're competing with Capgemini for the best and the brightest. We've seen a lot of end users say, okay, let me just find the right service provider who can guide me from this. And a lot of the people and users like it better because instead of getting immersed in a lot of the details that your 200,000 or 300,000 or 150,000, whatever the number is, there's a lot of people at Capgemini who can handle some of the tactical issues. And the value of working with Steve is you can help your organization because you'll become more of a strategic cloud architect, business architect, freeing you up from some of the day-to-day activities, and it can help your organization succeed and help you succeed in your own career without trying to get immersed in a lot of the details. And I think that's another final closing benefit of Capgemini is you emphasize a lot of the strategic value and insights that you bring, which is great. But at the same time, there's like this Capgemini army. I don't want to use that term given all the crisis in Ukraine, but it is correct in the sense you have a well-trained force available to handle the tactical implementation issues that a lot of organizations struggle with.
Yeah, it's a very difficult landscape. It's much more difficult than it was a couple of years ago. Now you start getting into some of the more regional type of privacy, compliance, regulatory, things are just becoming more and more complicated, and you really need to have a strategic partner that can help you navigate all aspects of all of those different elements that you may run across, especially for companies who are operating in different parts of the world. We provide that sector-specific expertise, that industry-specific expertise that can really kind of help you drive your business and help you kind of enable you on your cloud journey to really deliver those business results you're looking for. Or even it could be just to either just scratch the surface, just put your toe in the water to kind of see kind of where your cloud journey may start. Or more advanced companies who are looking for that next level of innovation. This is really where we start to get that collaboration and communication of what we've done with other customers to really help them innovate across a wide spectrum of things like big data, AI, ML. Some of those customers, though, that's still cutting edge for them, and now it's just continuing to adopt more and more as we see this progressing into a more AI, ML type of cloud journey.
That's great. Well, I know you're going to be a big asset to Capgemini and all of your existing clients. I look forward to seeing Steve when AngelBeat returns. You're still in the Tampa St. Pete area, if I'm not mistaken?
That's correct. Still in Tampa St. Pete. So would love to be able to speak at the next AngelBeat seminar, whether that's virtual or in person, but would love to be a speaker on the list nonetheless.
Yeah, you're top of the list. All right, Steve, best of luck. Congrats on the new gig. I know that the folks at Capgemini made a great hire. And again, people have questions, want to get input, objective assessments of their current operations or of a big new project, please contact AngelBeat, contact Capgemini or Steve Woodward. We'll put you in touch. I know you'll be satisfied. Thanks again, Steve. All the best.
Thanks, Ron. Appreciate it. It'll be with you.